Word has a number of tools that you can use to manipulate graphics in your document. You can resize, crop, and position photographs, and resize and position all other kinds of graphics relative to the margins or relative to the page. We're going to begin with this document that we created earlier in this chapter. It has 2 photos and a shape and 2 pieces of clip art, and we'll be using those to see how we can use the tools that appear when we select any graphic in Microsoft Word. So with this photo selected, the Picture Tools Format tab is available, and we'll be looking at the commands in the Arrange and Size categories. So first, I'd like to turn this picture so it's not laying on its side. This is a tree, here's the ground, here's the tree, and if it's a little hard to see, it's not your eyes, it's the document. This is a photo that we need to retouch. We have to use this photo, but we'll be retouching it later in this chapter. But we already know that it's too large and laying on its side. So first, let's take care of the size of the photo. We'd like it to be a little bit smaller. We have a couple of choices of how to do that. First, when a photo is selected, or any graphic object, it has handles that appear on the corners and the sides. The handles on the corners are round, and when I use this handle to drag, I'm shrinking both the horizontal and the vertical dimension of this photo. Its aspect ratio, the ratio between height and width, is being held constant by Word. So I'm going to release the mouse button, and I can notice here in the size box that I sized that down to about 5 inches by about 3 inches. If I had used one of the square handles, I'm actually distorting the image, and that's probably not what I want to do. So I'm going to choose Undo to undo that. I can also size the image very precisely. For example, I know I want this image, when it is done, to be 3 inches wide in my placement. So here's my width, and I'm simply going to choose 3 inches. And when I click, you'll notice that Microsoft Word has automatically resized that image to 3 inches wide. Now I want to turn this tree so it's straight up. With photographs, I'm likely to use this rotate tool that says rotate 90 degrees to the left or to the right, or flip this horizontally or vertically. This is a really good way to rotate an image that's a photograph, because the odds are that the reason that this is off by 90 degrees is that the person who took the picture turned the camera 90 degrees to capture a portrait or landscape view of an image. So that worked really well. But I can also freely rotate this image. I can grab this green handle, the rotate handle, and I can turn this to any dimension that I want, so that I can have a photo that's not really in line with the text in my document. If, while I'm turning this handle, I hold the Shift button down, Word will rotate based on preset stops that occur every 15 degrees. So there's a stop at 180 degrees, there's a stop at 0 degrees, and Word will find those and will click to them if I hold the Shift key while I free rotate. Now, this image is actually a little, not larger, but it has more content than I would like it to have. I'd like to get rid of a little of this extra space over here on the side, and even trim a little bit closer here. So I'm going to crop this image. Simply click the crop button, and each of the 8 handles around the image change to a crop handle, and I can slide this in to crop, and I can pick up a little space here. And notice that the remaining area of the image is turned semi-translucent so that you can see this is the image I'll have left at this point. And I like that, and I'm going to click out of the image to crop it. When I select the image again, I can get this back. If I choose crop again, the remainder of the image is still here right now. So I can recover it if I decide that I want to change my mind, or if I want to click undo. So our images are the right side, rotated to the correct orientation, cropped if we wanted to do that to the size that we want. The last thing we need to take care of here is how they're positioned in our document relative to the page. So I'm going to select this picture and choose Format and Position, and I have 10 choices that are built in. The first is to position it in relationship to the text in my document, so that this is an image that will be in line with the text. My other choices, though, are to position it relative to the page, and when I choose any of these options, For example, here on the right, I'm also making some choices about text wrapping, which we'll talk about in the next movie. I can also choose more layout options and be very specific in terms of how I want my object placed, in terms of an absolute position or an absolute horizontal and vertical, or to move the object with the text. Right now, though, I'm going to simply position this on the right side of my page. I'm going to choose my next image. Now, doing that and resizing the image made some more room, but I actually want this other image of the olives to appear on the next page. So I'm going to drop it here, someplace on the page, and choose upper right corner of the page. We'll be dealing with these two graphics later because they're related to the surrounding text. And finally, I can take this image and say I'd like it to appear on the next page. And we'll drop it down here, and we'll choose to position that in the upper left corner. With words cropping and rotating, sizing, and positioning tools, you can choose how much of an image you want. You can choose to rotate an image in a particular direction, and you can position images precisely relative to the pages in your document.